It's dookshelf.com. You're now rocking with TDF Everything. Spoiled Rotten.
Spoiler alert.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, we're back.
Yeah, we're back. It's Spoiled
After
Rotten.
a brief hiatus.
Yeah, we took a week off. That's
Yes.
fine. 'Cause we're going to go 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah,
so
that's why brief.
Yeah.
Very, very brief.
exactly. I'm Daniel,
And I'm Ben.
and we're going to talk to you about comic book movie stuff and a little bit of comic book TV stuff.
Correct. That's because this is Spoiled Rotten, and we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff that's going to ruin your day.
Hopefully not. So, DC stuff first.
DC stuff.
All right. Well, let us start on a somber note. Margot Kidder has died.
Yes.
Well, for me, the original Lois Lane, obviously not the
For
original
many
Lois Lane.
people, I would
Yeah.
say.
When I heard she was 16, I was like, that seems way too young. And then I realized I don't actually know how old she was when that movie came out.
Yeah.
She always seemed older. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Tragic,
sucks.
tragic loss. I mean, like,
Because I know she
69
suffered with
years.
mental health stuff.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there was the Family Guy jokes about her, and I know
Yeah.
everyone had jokes about her. But that's it's sad because she was part of a movie that obviously legitimized what we are podcasting about.
Exactly. It made the realm of superhero movies like a cultural phenomenon and everything like that. And she was a big part of that, and a big, strong female character at that time, which is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, she was a cool. Other than, I mean, personally, I'm never a fan of the when she reads the poem when she's flying with him. It's like, oh, you really come on.
Yeah.
But other than that, great character. I do appreciate a good Lois Lane role.
And so thank you for everything, Margot. And you will be missed, tragically.
Yeah. So I guess we'll do the next movie thing, which
Yes.
is this whole not awkward. It is what it is.
Yep.
The confusing thing of a Harley Quinn spinoff that is called Birds of Prey.
Yeah, it's
I understand what they're doing.
Yep.
I just it
just-
seems like why wouldn't you just do Gotham Sirens?
it just seems like more DC
But
missteps.
what I guess they said was they had a good script for
Yep.
Birds of Prey, so why not use it? And the idea is that Margot Robbie is producing. It will, I guess, have Harley as a bad guy. And she said something that was pretty insightful, being like, no one wants to see Harley on her own. Like, she's a
Yes.
group character. Like,
Correct.
so I want this to be like a girl gang movie.
Yeah.
Because why the fuck not? And I was like, yeah, good, great.
Yeah. No, she totally gets it. I mean,
Yeah.
like you can never really have Harley stories isolated.
She's so tied to like either Poison Ivy or Joker in terms of how she that is actually a part of her how she defines herself against Joker or Poison Ivy. So I appreciate that she gets the idea that like, no, you can't just have like here's a kooky Harley Quinn character story with no one in it.
Yeah, that sounds awful. Like you would expect like cute things to happen, but in the realm of it just happening without anyone to bounce back off or without that give and take, it's just like really
of another like DC character that we actually know. As we said, she is tied to people, so I'm glad they recognize that.
Yeah.
I guess people are upset that it's an all-female cast or a crew, and I was like, I don't understand.
I don't understand why they're.
I mean, when I saw who was upset about it, I was like, oh, I get it. But
Yeah,
I think
isn't that always the case though?
I was like,
okay.
never mind.
There we go.
But like, I guess the idea is it's what we've talked about a lot of times is when you say things like, well, there's no Asian stars to do this, or there's no female crew members that could do this.
Right.
It's like, well, they don't get chances, so here's a chance for them to do
There's
it.
a big
It's
chance,
something to
and
put
it's
on their
awesome.
resume so
Yeah.
that when there aren't all female crews, they'll still be, they then can enter the realm of the best person gets the job.
Correct.
Because they have this on their resume. And whether or not the movie is good, I don't think it'll sink because it's an all-female crew.
No, it's not going to.
It might just not be a good movie because DC
Yeah,
really is
like
struggling with that.
That's the thing.
But
you
the
gotta
point
keep in
is,
mind
if
there.
they operate at a high level, aka a DC movie, it's something on their resume that they can use going forward. And I think, why not?
A lot of people will say like, oh, women can't do this and thing and whatever, but at the same time, like, you're not giving them the chance to. And this movie gives them the chance to do that, and it gives them a chance to show off like exactly how good it can be. Yeah. Because let's be perfectly honest here. Every time we've had diversity behind the scenes and like calling the shots, it's been home run lately. Yeah. Wonder Woman, Black Panther. It's been great. I mean, we're just going to keep going on to this, and we're going to touch upon this subject a little bit more in this podcast, too.
Like, people respond to diversity even if they don't see it in front of the camera.
Correct.
It's like, when you have, that's just how it works, even if you're not talking about film. Like, if you actually have different people bringing their different life experiences into a situation, that helps like sharpen steel, because it's like if you only have one way of thinking and someone else is like, no, either your idea gets better because you bounce off of what they say, or they input something that you didn't think of before and it still gets better.
That's exactly it. Like the idea of Mulan, you know, like the Disney Mulan movie.
Jet Li's in that.
Jet Li's in that, right? Sick. It's going to be crazy good. But the idea that they're going to have like actual Chinese Asian people being like, no, you shouldn't do that because that's not what Chinese people would do. Like, that just makes the movie better for everyone involved. It's more historically accurate, so to speak, and it's more culturally accurate, and not just like, oh, you're trivializing something, or like you just didn't get it. That extra layer.
You're right. It just makes it better. So I have no problem with this being an all-female crew. Cause
no, I think it's great. Yeah, so that is
so to say nothing about the movie, it's a good opportunity for people.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, guys, if the movie is bad, it's most likely Warner Brothers' fault. It's not going to be because.
Well, I mean, if it's bad, then it's par for the course for DC. Exactly. It's not like, oh, see what happens when they give it all female.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. It's like, oh, usually we gave them one shot, they screwed up. No, Warner Brothers is the people behind making the shots too. So.
I can't imagine it'll be worse than Justice League. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It might be.
Let's not shit all over Justice League again.
All right. So that was the movie stuff. Do we want to get into the TV stuff?
Yeah. Now? So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on in the TV world right now. And that's
exciting.
Just kidding. Air quotes.
So let's start with Gotham. I guess they're getting their final season. I still haven't watched the episode where they basically do No Man's Land.
Yep.
But I started it, so I don't know. Anyway, I like the Joker thing. I don't
know. To me, it's stupid.
Have you watched it?
I have not watched it. I have heard it, but I've heard critiques of it and everything. Because Gotham is a show I cannot stand. And I've given the full first season a chance, and I'm like, what is... I can't do this. And at some point, I'm pretty sure I will watch the whole thing to, like, stand behind it. But I'm pretty sure I will just,
I feel like a season is enough to know it's not good.
Yeah.
And
I usually take 3 episodes to know if something's good or not. But anyways, you and I keep having these text conversations about what's going on right now. And I'm just like, what are they doing every single time? But what we do know is at the end of the next season, you see Bruce finally becoming Batman, who he essentially already is, according to your
he already has the suit. He just doesn't have the ears.
He doesn't have the ears.
It looks stupid.
Ridiculous to me.
And he only used it for like 2 episodes.
Yeah. So I'm like, what the hell? And but my question is, like, I know the actor that's playing Bruce. He's very, very young. Like,
nah, not anymore. He looks old enough.
Does he look old enough, in your opinion?
Like, not to be full-on Batman, but if they were like, this guy's 20, I'd be like, sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he probably is like 23 in real life or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Like, if they were like, oh, he started being Batman when he was 21, I'd be like, yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Like, who cares? He doesn't look that far off.
That makes sense to me. It's like, oh, peak physical prowess? Yeah.
Yeah.
21.
Like, I just think that they're so far away from him being a competent Batman that, like... It's whatever, but I guess I just think it's stupid.
Yeah,
but I watch it. I've seen every single episode other than the most recent one.
Yeah, so for the fans,
so I can't hate that much.
I'd love to get some interaction with you guys on the social media stuff for this.
Yeah.
This is why you're wrong.
Get us on Twitter. Yeah. Ben is at DM Platypus.
Yeah.
I am at the Young Guard.
Yeah, so tweet at me and be like, "You're wrong. You should like Gotham because of these reasons," and I will actually.
They won't be
like,
good reasons.
No, no.
I watch it every time, and even as I'm telling him what I like, I'd say it's not good. It's fine.
It's one of the funniest things.
It's not even fine. It's just like, oh, cool. Like I think they did Scarecrow well.
Yeah,
Like, he looks cool and he sounds cool. And the producer even said, like, this is a world where all the villains create the necessity for Batman, which, if that's the take you're doing, then that's the take you're doing.
That is, yep, that's it. It's just out of our controls.
Yeah.
But I mean, in regards to other Batman-related TV news, here's something I care even less about: is they've already put a full order for a full season
of young Alfred
Pennyworth
on
show.
EPIX.
And it's called Pennyworth.
Yeah.
Why? Why does anyone want to see that?
Because everyone wants to do these shows where they don't actually have to use this real superhero. So, like, Krypton, or like the new show where, like, basically it's the X-Files but with Lois Lane and Lex Luthor.
Right.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Why? The thing with the Krypton show, it makes more sense to me than an Alfred show. Because the Krypton show, to me, would be like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but if they're on Krypton, they still don't have powers. You're just watching normal people do normal things.
Yes, you're watching the politics of it. You're watching the descendants of the planet. One of my favorite parts of Man of Steel was all the Krypton scenes. In the sense
but that's because
where,
they had cool flying animals going around and, like,
yes,
lasers.
This
one is like
irregardless of the visuals and everything. I'm talking more about the debates that they had about, like, this is how
Zod
we should keep Zod, keeping the
Zorro.
Krypton alive and all that kind of stuff. I thought that was pretty interesting, to be perfectly honest, and very relevant to what we're dealing with right now from the
What was good about it
standpoint.
is you knew it had to end within 10 minutes.
Yes.
If you're actually trying to make a whole series about that.
This is where I
No, thank you.
would agree with you, because it's just like, oh, well, you have Kara, like Supergirl, as one of the main characters, I'm guessing. No. Wow. This is just...
No, it's his grandfather. It's not even his parents.
Oh, wow.
It's so far removed from what you're talking about.
Oh, wow. Okay. This is just weird. This just feels like a drama that's on another planet.
The only thing that creates immediacy is that someone comes from the future being like, oh, like, if you guys don't do this, Superman will never happen.
So if you don't, it's basically
like every episode he has to be like, no, don't touch that. You did touch that one instead.
Oh my god.
I haven't watched it. I just know that if I was making fun of it, that's how I would make fun of it.
Yeah. More Batverse related news in regards to television.
Yeah.
Green Arrow, which is a show we haven't talked about for a while. That is getting
never will.
Batwoman and Gotham in.
Well, so it's going to be the crossover
yes,
event.
the
So
DC
all
crossover
of the Arrowverse,
Mhm.
not including Black Lightning for some reason.
Yeah.
Even though Black Lightning does refer to, like, at least Supergirl.
So are they actually? Is Black
so
Lightning
what they
within
say
that realm?
is that Black Lightning is on Supergirl's Earth,
Oh, I see.
which is obviously separate from Flash
Yes,
and Arrow.
correct.
And I guess Legends Tomorrow doesn't matter because
They're all
bouncing
over the
out
place.
all over the place. But yeah, I don't think the plan is for Black Lightning to cross over in this crossover. I think it's going to be the ones that we always see. And Batwoman will be in it, and I am fine with that. That's cool.
Yep. Because I haven't seen any Black Lightning yet.
It's a good show.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. It seems like it would be. The premise seems like it would be a good show.
What I like about it is, especially as we see more and more
Mhm.
people of a certain color call the cops on people of another certain color. And what happens when that happens. The show, like, starts with stuff like that, and
Right.
it's always the underlying thing of, like,
I see.
I'm trying to be a superhero,
Social commentary.
and
show.
like, it gives you more of a reason of, like, I don't want the cops to deal with this, especially with the neighborhood we're in.
Yeah.
I need to do it.
That's fair. That sounds very, very cool. I definitely got to check that out when I get some time, for sure.
Also on Netflix, and now you don't have to wait week to week, which I absolutely hated and resented.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's all there.
It's right there, baby. But yeah, that's Batwoman is coming. I mean, that kind of they are building that Arrowverse out, and from the perspective of in this season they mentioned Bruce Wayne and Gotham.
I'm like 10 episodes behind on Arrow.
Oh,
I've
so
been
am
watching
I.
Flash though.
And they've mentioned there's always like these Easter eggs referencing Green Lantern and all that kind of stuff. So
They've been doing that
they're
for
planning
years.
to
So
build it out for sure.
And I'd be interested to see what Batwoman looks like.
Yes.
I guess I already know. Like, they did Huntress. It'll be like that with red hair.
It'll be like that with red hair, maybe like another motorcycle jumpsuit looking thing. That's
exactly.
really
Yeah,
looking at.
that is the look, and it's fine.
Anyways, so shifting gears from the TV universe, back to Star Wars. Arrowverse. There's a few Star Wars tidbits that came out earlier this week, and some of it exciting, some of it not. But what I'm more interested in seeing is the Lando movie that they talked about earlier this week. Is like, yeah, I would love to do a Lando movie. It would be great. And then
Kathleen Kennedy said that. Yeah. That that's what they're putting their focus to.
Yeah. They're putting their focus in development of doing that. They haven't officially announced it yet. There was just a misinterpretation from a French interview. But so she wouldn't later on clarify. We would love to see that happen.
I saw people being like 2020 Lando. I'm like, oh no, it just means that they're gonna think about it.
Yep. That's right. So, which I personally am very, very, very excited if that was the one of the big reveals is a Lando Solo movie. The one piece of information I did not care too much about for the character of Lando was the director saying that he's pansexual.
The director didn't say it. I think like whoever created the character.
Whoever created the character?
Yeah.
So the thing with that is it's not that I'm against it, but it's just one of those things where... You
obviously are, based on your history.
No.
Admit it.
No. This is one of those things where I'm like the reviews have already said that it doesn't get explored in the movie, so why bother doing it? It was like the same issue that I had with the Holdo situation, where she's like, oh, she's like interspecies, like lover or whatever. I'm like, then explore that a little bit in the movie. That'd be cool. But if you're gonna put it for lip service only, I'm like, then you're not doing any justice to the LGBTQ community, in my opinion.
And I feel like I always say that it seems like a non-statement only because of where their environment. Like, yeah, you probably would be pansexual because there's like not just humans, not just like so if it's not just humans, then maybe you don't have to only be a binary male-female thing. So and you would be having sex with not just humans. So yeah, correct. Most people probably are pansexual in that universe.
I believe so, and I'm just like, if you're gonna say these things, you should explore them. Not just
or I agree. Like I don't like when people try to like get credit for not really doing anything. Like,
because the idea of them being like, yes, and there's good argument to this, is like, why aren't there LGBTQ characters in the Star Wars universe?
Yeah, you can't just be like, no, Lando is. Don't worry about
Lando
it.
is. Yeah, I'm like, that's just doing lip service to something. No, actually show it on screen.
Yeah.
Or do something like what Star Trek did with the new Star Treks did with Sulu,
where Sulu comes home to his husband,
and his daughter or son or like the child.
His child. Yeah, I don't remember if it was.
I forget the.
I don't remember if it's son or daughter, but yeah, like something like that where it's not like gay people. It's just like this is how people live.
Yeah, this is just a normal person and everything like that, and they're like that's it. But to have it actually mean something on camera, I think would be important. But
I agree with you. That was weird.
Yeah. But another.
But if they use it in the movies that he gets, then sure. But I just feel like it's a natural thing that you would think of because. Yeah. Is it even confirmed that he is a human? Like they're all from outer space, so like
Lando.
Yeah, they look human, but are they? Like they're not from Earth. They're not from like. They could all technically be other species that look humanoid.
It could be. I mean, Naboo had people that looked human. But, and
this is what I'm saying. Like they're all. It's all going on. They're all
it's all going on.
Yeah. Okay. Great. I have to say I was just completely wrong. I honestly thought they were gonna close down the idea of like spinning off these characters that people already have invested in, like when I remember when you started talking about the Alden Ehrenreich thing, being like he signed for 3 movies. I'm like, yeah, but like everyone gets signed for 3 movies because then they don't have. Then what happened with Patty Jenkins doesn't happen, where you're like, no, you already signed, so give us the movies and we don't have to pay you more.
Correct.
If they end up doing it, but it looks like from everything I've heard, Solo sets up a sequel and. If they make the money, I'm sure they'll do it. I thought they were just going forward with like new stories, but apparently that is not the case. I think the
stories will be explored through the streaming service.
Well, I'm just saying like how the Game of Thrones guy and Rian Johnson have their own trilogies. That seems like that's going to be new stuff. Even if it's not new to people who've read the books, it'll be new to people like me who don't get deeper than the movies.
Yeah.
Whereas it looks like they're like, no, we're still doing Lando and Obi-Wan and possibly another Solo.
Yeah. And the thing too is I feel like this is going to be the case until episode 9 comes out. You know what I mean? I feel like after episode 9 comes out, depending on where they leave that, it's gonna either shut down this saga aspect of it, which I think should happen, to be perfectly honest, and then to move into different areas of the Star Wars universe and explore the possibility of a Grey Jedi or the gangsters or the Mandalorian Wars or something like that.
Right.
I think those are great stories to tell. Or like even the X-Wing fighter squads, with Wedge and all that kind of stuff. I think that would be great to explore. And of course, they're doing a great job with Star Wars Rebels, which I recently finished and is absolutely
You did message
phenomenal.
me singing us praises.
Yeah, it's a fantastic show. Like the first season, really hard for me to watch because I'm like, oh, this is all kids stuff. Like, what
But
the
then
hell?
they grew up.
And then he grew up, and then it's like, oh, okay, this got pretty badass kind of deal.
Nice.
And there's a lot of good writing behind that because it's Dave Filoni, who is the same writer of the Clone Wars stuff. So I mean, they're
The TV show.
Yeah, the TV show.
Was the movie called Attack of the Clones?
I think so. Yeah.
So like episode 2?
Yeah. Attack of the Clones is episode 2.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, it's going to be some pretty exciting stuff, but I feel like they're going to explore, and the Jon Favreau stuff, I feel like they're just going to
that'll be a
explore
TV. That's
stuff to
streaming.
expand out more versus the cinematic universe. I feel like
yeah. So it
for
is
now,
in
following
between.
this.
So his show is between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens.
The new Filoni?
No,
show?
the Favreau.
The Favreau show.
Yeah.
That's the Star Wars Resistance, right?
I don't know that it has a name. I just know that they said that's when his time period is.
I see. Because there's another show coming out that's called Star Wars Resistance that's anime based.
Yeah, that's not his.
And no, that's not his, but it's called Resistance, and that takes place after Episode 6, where it's basically looking at how the First Order is built up, and Poe Dameron and more Rey and stuff like that.
Interesting.
No Finn, because if you have Finn, then you're just looking at the Imperial side of things.
There's too many black people then. So then...
Wow.
So let's move on.
Yes.
Ms. Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Kamala
Khan.
Yeah.
I want to say Camilla. I don't know.
I think it's Kamala Khan.
Yeah, Kamala or whatever. Either way, huge news.
We did both versions for you,
yeah.
so which one of us is right? Let us know.
We don't know, but Kamala Khan is a very well-received South Asian, sorry,
Yes,
character
South Asian.
in the Marvel universe that goes by the...
I don't know if she's well-respected now, but people do like
People
run,
like her
but
a
people
lot.
also...
Yeah, for sure. I haven't
don't like
personally read
women.
any of those.
Yeah.
I haven't
She's
read
an
any of those.
Inhuman.
Yeah.
So...
She's got
maybe-
these like really, really cool powers. It's kind of similar to like Mr. Fantastic
Yeah, she
powers.
can stretch.
She can stretch. She can do all those kind of things. But she's a great character.
And like Spider-Man, she's kind of a fangirl.
Yes.
Like she like appreciates superheroes and likes them. So it's a cool way to approach it. So the big thing, I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't know if you were going to say, but that Riz Ahmed was like, yeah, I want to write this. And he asked Mindy Kaling if she wanted to write it. And she was like, yeah, I love Ms. Marvel. I'm down.
Yeah.
And somehow Kumail Nanjiani got involved.
Ooh.
Oscar-nominated Kumail Nanjiani, so
Very
that wouldn't
nice.
be a bad guy to get involved either.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, once again, the people behind the scenes being a part of it are not a certain color.
Right.
So it might help flesh out some stuff.
Correct.
All three of them have different ways of approaching their South Asian backgrounds, and it would be cool to see how they even interact, even all being South Asian. Their comedy, like, well, Riz Ahmed is not a comedian, but like if you're familiar with those people's work, they're all coming from different parts, and I would like to see how that comes together. I mean, I don't think they'll end up getting the job, but the idea that they're interested might lead to some
exciting,
interesting news in terms of who actually starts writing and putting that
especially
together.
having Mindy Kaling's voice in there being like, yeah, let's make some quippy jokes here,
Yeah.
because that's really a lot of Miss Marvel stuff. And I mean, it's really great because it's just to explore the Muslim community on film is going to be, I think, fantastic. So please let this happen. Please make this happen. I'm dying for it. It's going to be fun.
All right.
Yeah.
It is officially time to move on.
Spoil Deadpool 2 for you all. Now, I watched this Thursday night,
So did I.
and it was pretty damn good. I feel like my first thought is if you enjoyed Deadpool 1, there's no way you're not going to enjoy this. However,
Apparently, if you didn't like Deadpool 1, you'll really like this.
Really?
I've seen 2 reviews so far that have been like, Deadpool sucked, and this surpasses it in every single way. This is so good.
Really?
Um,
That's interesting. Who
yeah.
wrote that.
No, I'm saying like two different people who review.
Right.
Although the one guy who said a similar thing also was like, "Yeah, Justice League was really good, really good. I liked it. I liked it.
Yeah,
It's a 6 out of 10." Like, no, it's not. It's not even a 6 out of 10. And don't tell me it's really good and then give it a C. Like, shut up.
This is what participation trophies do to people.
Yeah.
So,
I had to stop listening to this
really
guy's
good.
podcast because I was like, I can't take you seriously.
Yeah, man. What is
I don't
that?
need you to praise it just because you're like worried people will think you're weird
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then
yeah.
actually give it a C.
Yeah.
Like, no one's ever been like, "Oh, sick, C." Like, they must have really liked my work.
Right. This was just. It was an interesting. I mean, I didn't love it as much as the first one, and for me,
See, I don't know. I feel like I need to see it again.
Really?
Because my initial reaction was like, it's not as good as the first one. But then I started thinking about the first one and thinking about this one, and I was like, I can't really tell where the first one legitimately stands out over the second one.
I just value of it.
Yeah,
is what
but
got
that's what I'm saying. Like, once you take that out of it, oh, I wasn't expecting this.
Mhm.
Are the movies is the first movie that much better than the second one?
Well, to me, it still
In
banks
terms,
on
because you have to talk about replay value, right? Like,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you were to like play these together, would you legitimately be like, "Oh yeah, first one way better," or would that be your nostalgia?
It's a good point, and we'll have to see. But one of the biggest things I am looking at for this one is because, to me, sequels for comedies are rarely good, and this to me is definitely more of a comedy. Like Deadpool is more of a comedic.
Yeah, it's a comedic.
anything
It's an action. It's like a
superhero
Rush
thing.
Hour, or like
Yeah.
it's like a action comedy. Yeah.
But to me, this is you lose that in the second one. You lose the ability of all those kind of things to happen. It's not as impactful as the first one to me as a comedy, but as a superhero film, I really did enjoy him interacting with a whole bunch of characters, seeing a whole bunch of other characters develop on screen and all that kind of stuff, even though a whole bunch of those other characters were just kind of used to joke around with.
I like that.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
What I liked is more so than the first movie, they were able to hide the like actual mechanics of the plot.
Right.
You obviously could tell, okay, Cable needs to get that kid, and
Yes.
Deadpool's not going to let him.
Yep.
That's obvious. But like, even to like down to the last second of finding out that like, maybe that kid is more of a bad guy than I was led to believe through
Right.
marketing or
Yeah.
obviously the Juggernaut stuff. But like, just like
Yeah.
the idea that you were like, oh, they were able to like keep some stuff close to the chest, or like that the promotion of it, like especially the posters, make it seem like this is going to be like a backdoor X-Force movie, and they do not factor into, like, in a good way. This isn't me being like, oh, I wish there was more X Factor. It was like Cable and Domino were in it. I could have used more Domino, but like they were in it, and I thought that was good, that it was still a tight-knit team.
Yes.
And that X-Force was used for a very funny joke.
Yeah. And the idea of them being like, oh, there's Bedlam, there's Shatterstar, there's Peter, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was just like, this is gonna, for a character that wants to be alone,
Yeah.
it really was like, what's going on here? And then the way they wrote that was just like, okay, well, yeah, he just didn't want to be a part of the X-Men, which is, it made sense the way they wrote it, in the sense where he tried to join and he did what he did, and he's like, okay, well, are you kidding me? I did this, and like this makes sense, and this is like 4 or 5 good moments, and referencing the Colossus thing in the first movie and all that kind of stuff. The idea of him doing that was good, and then Colossus being like, nope, I've given up on you. This is it, final thing.
I
And
did
then
like that end when he was like, you're like my best friend. I was like, I actually believe that. Like, Colossus is legitimately your best friend.
Yeah.
Like, that's really nice.
He's basically like the Spider-Man to Deadpool.
Deadpool is...
Well, I mean, you know how like
I see
Deadpool
what you mean.
and Spider-Man
I
have
see what
that
you
like
mean.
kind of like really, really interesting like bromance and really,
Yeah, except for that, I feel like Colossus is more like he wants to be a mentor than he wants to be like bros. But what I liked about this movie, I think, was the yes, it's still a selfish motivation, but like it gets him to a better place. Like
Yes.
the first movie is legitimately, I want to look pretty again so my girlfriend will
Yes.
like me.
It's purely selfishly driven,
Which,
for
and
sure.
this one is selfish. Like, I want to kill myself, but when I die, I want to be able to actually be with my girlfriend again.
Yes.
That's I can acknowledge that they're both selfish,
Mhm.
but the idea is that it does force him to grow a bit more than the first movie in the
Right.
sense that like he needs to actually open up. Like, he can't be as superficial as the first movie.
Yes.
In terms of like, he has to actually open up to people and actually be in a space where you can accept family.
Right.
Which I think I like a lot.
I did like that a little bit
because I
more.
think people are like, oh, his motivations make no sense. Why would he care about the kid? I'm like,
Yep.
he doesn't care about the kid.
No.
Yes, at the end, he's open to the idea of like looking after this kid, but it's always the same thing with him. He needs to get to his girlfriend, and he's just doing whatever he can to get to his girlfriend. The first movie was find the guy that can turn my face back into looking good.
Right.
And this one was like, oh, she keeps saying my heart is in the right place. I need to get my heart in the right place so I can see her.
Yeah.
But it's like, it doesn't not make sense. I'm like, yeah, it makes like that follows. Because the guy's like, well, why you could have gone after the guy who killed her. And it's like, no, they make a good point that like he does kill that guy.
Yep.
And then it's like, I'm actually the reason. Like, if I had just done my job, she wouldn't have died.
Yep.
So I need to kill myself.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, all of this tracks. There's no like holes here. It all makes sense. I just like that this selfish motivation actually led to a little bit more growth for him.
Yeah, and to me, it was just like the idea that it wasn't. You're right. Everything is still very selfish for the character and everything. I get why people are like, "Oh, this doesn't make sense. It's not a character for him to do this." But like, if you look at the Deadpool stuff, the comic references, he's like, that's the thing. He just never kills kids ever.
Yeah, he does have a code.
Yeah, he's got that code. Like that's.
And in
his
the
thing.
first movie, when he didn't like that the guy was like abusing little girls or whatever,
Yep.
like, and he went after him like
Yep.
that. He did it. He didn't even care that he was ruining the ability to get paid. He was
Yep.
like, no, fuck this guy.
Yep.
So
That's
he does
exactly
have a
it.
code.
Yeah. And that's his code. And the thing is, here, it's just him living out the code. It's like, are you kidding me? This is just a kid. Why would you do this kind of deal?
Yeah.
And then Cable shares that backstory. I'm like, are you kidding me? This guy grows up to be this. And then it plays with that ethic moral of like, okay, well, if you can prevent something like this from happening, would you? And the best time to do it. Like, and the thing too is Cable is like, I can't control this thing, the time travel device, as closely as you think it is. Like when he lands there,
I like that he was like, well, that's just lazy.
yeah, well, that's just lazy writing. I really like the first scene where he travels back in time, and you know there's those two rednecks that are talking, which by the way, have a couple of really really cool casting cameos. So that's Matt Damon and Alan Tudyk.
Alan Tudyk.
You
can just, it's not rude to say Tudyk. His name is Tudyk.
I just can't pronounce, man. This, wait till I try to talk about Zeitgeist's name.
Zeitgeist.
Yeah, there you go. But that's Matt Damon and Alan Tudyk.
Yeah,
hilarious.
Obviously Alan Tudyk looks like Alan Tudyk, but because you hear them before you see them, I was like, is that Matthew McConaughey?
Yeah.
And then I was like, I cannot tell who this guy is, and all I could think of was that like Alan Tudyk has that like kind of horror movie where he's like not the bad guy, but the kids think he's the bad guy, and he's just trying to save them. And
that's one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, I wish I remember
Bill
what the
and
name.
Dale versus Evil.
Yeah.
So good.
I thought it was that, but I'm like, that's not the
other guy.
The other guy.
I thought that's what it was. Too.
I was like, why is the other guy just a nobody? Like he has to be someone.
Yeah.
And because like the voice, and then as soon as someone said Matt Damon, I'm like, oh yeah, he does have that kind of quality.
Just that dialogue that they were talking about.
Fuck him for getting into two good movies.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, man.
Thor Ragnarok and this.
Yeah, he's like Damon's doing some pretty fun.
I do like that Russo brothers said he's dead though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like in the snap, the actor who played Loki is dead.
Yeah.
But that was I liked the cameos a lot.
The cameos were great.
But yeah, we can continue the story. Like we'll get to the cameos in a bit. Like the story, when he first goes back.
When he first goes back, he's like,
what year is it? Because he can't actually.
He looks at events and everything like that, and that's primarily what it looks like. And that was some cool visuals for that time travel device and all that kind of stuff too. It was really really cool to see that. He just can't control it. So he's like, he got back there. Russell's a kid before he first kills, but before he develops a taste for it. So that makes sense to me. And even then, they had one of the post-credit scenes, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, that explores the same concept of it. So with that being said, but the funny thing is that post-credits scene, if they shot it, and if they aired it, I would have been like, that's really out of Deadpool's character to do that. But anyway, so the idea of Cable coming back and being like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
He killed my family. He killed thousands of people. This is brutal, kind of thing. You can't get in the way of this. And then Deadpool's like, no, give me a chance. Before he even does that, give me 30 seconds to develop a chance for this. And that's exactly what he does. And it's great.
Yeah, I thought the motivations were solid. That's why I'm saying I honestly don't know if I like the first one better, because I'm always a fan of like
growth
going. Like if you can see the growth in the characters, which obviously you do here.
Yes,
they didn't really use Negasonic Teenage Warhead. That much, which was fun. But to be honest, every scene she had made me laugh, just because it was like her being so mad at him, and the girlfriend just being, "Hi Wade," and he was like, "Hi Yukio."
That was the best thing in the world, like that relationship. Hi Yukio.
Yeah, so it just meant that like every time she was used, I liked it.
Yeah,
kind of like the first movie, but they found a new way to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought like they were gonna do, but I think that's what I liked, is that the trailers really made it seem like this is gonna be like this team movie, teams up with the X-Men, teams up with X-Force, and it's like, nah, not really. Like,
they really made Cable seem like the bad guy in the stuff too, and I'm like, you can't be right.
There is no real bad guy, because it's like, it's like, which I actually thought was well pulled off. People were mad that what's his name, like Marsden? No.
Oh.
Like the headmaster wasn't Mr. Sinister, and I'm like, the movie wasn't really for Mr. Sinister. I mean, I know why you would do it, because Cable is Cyclops' son, and I'm pretty sure that part of that was Mr. Sinister manipulating things so that Cable would be born. But that movie, like, that's if you're doing a real movie, not a Deadpool movie. Like, I don't think Mr. Sinister works.
No,
all his intricacies will never get fleshed out the way they need to in a Deadpool movie. Deadpool movie is about jokes and
moving
action.
Fast.
So I kind of like that it was like the movie was about not creating the villain. Yeah, and that's fine. I like that.
I like that, because like the other way of looking at that too is just like, no, everyone's got their like. To be like, no, clarify, communicate properly, and then you're like, oh, okay, that's what you're gonna do. Okay, so like, let's change your plan a little bit to prevent that from even happening. Again, it's more to what we were talking about earlier, is like, no, have more people involved, collaborate more on the plan before, because that's Cable's method is like, no, I just gotta kill him. That straight up would have done what he would have wanted. But then Deadpool's like, let me at least try.
But he gets to save more
happening.
people, because then if he doesn't kill the kid, he gets to save the kid and all the people that kid potentially killed. Yeah,
exactly. And that justification, like, and then Cable's like, you know what, that makes sense. Fine, we'll do it. Kind of your way. 30 seconds. That's all I'm willing to give you.
He definitely gave him more than 30 seconds, because he kept setting the clock back. But anyway, Eddie Marsden is the actor I'm talking about from Happy Go Lucky, Hancock, and the Sherlock movies. Right. I liked. Yeah, I just liked it, and I really liked Domino, because I only really know her from the video game, and she's like British and mad. Like, she's more like Negasonic Teenage Warhead to Deadpool in the video game, and I was like, actually, it makes sense that if you're a lucky person, why would you ever be really angry? Like, things would just work out for you, and you would be happy all the time. And I liked that choice, that she's just happy about things working out for her. Yeah. Like, even when she's going back, I'd like to bring it back to, yes, it is a power. It isn't. She's like, but it is. It is a power.
Well, let's meet in the middle and say it's not. It's good. But that was a great dialogue back and forth and everything like that. And I really, really enjoyed her character. The thing what they did with her eye was more distracting than anything else.
I think it played into how she got tortured, because the guy had stuff around his neck. She had the thing around her eye. Right. I feel like that's what it was supposed to be. Okay. I don't think it was because I get it. Like, she looks like a domino when you see her in the comic books, but I took it more when she says like, "Oh, I grew up here too." I took it like, "Oh, that would be like a scar or something like that. That would be a disfiguration."
That makes a lot of sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. I
Yeah.
never even put that together.
Yeah.
Because I kind of forgot. It's like, hey, I grew up here too.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
And that motivates her to go in and actually kick ass.
Yeah.
I even like that fight scene that like she's still beating them up, but things are still working in her favor. Where they kind of like slip and break their neck, which knocks over something.
That was
else.
a great fight scene.
And she's like, "Oh, I need a bus to get everyone out of here." And she's like, "All right."
It's really funny because like I was really curious with how they're going to pull off Domino's character and her powers.
Yeah.
Like, how do you show luck? And they did
a great job.
It was
possible. And like it wasn't even like her being like, "Come on, look." She was just like, "Nah, things will work out. Yeah, I'll be fine."
Yeah, I'll be fine. Just drops and like lands into that like inflatable
panda,
thing
yeah,
and everything like that. I was like, this is actually really cool the way they did it. And then Deadpool finally, okay, you're a little lucky, I guess.
Yeah.
It was good fun.
And then he called her Black Widow.
Yeah,
that was one thing. So many
Avengers jokes. So many.
I like when he was on Juggernaut. He's like, "Sun's going down, big guy."
That was hilarious.
I guess I'll just always laugh at that joke, no matter who Thor does it. If he does it, I think it's funny.
This was they made a lot of good jokes there.
They did keep the Thanos joke.
The Thanos joke was good. The Hawkeye joke I really really loved. It's like, what?
Oh, yeah.
I don't have guns. Yeah. I'm just basically Hawkeye now.
So yeah, he said you might as well just give me a bow and arrow. I'm basically Hawkeye. Yeah, I like that. I guess I wanted to touch on the meta jokes, like some that I saw, because I know at one point they did want Josh Brolin to be Batman, and so it was funny that when he first meets Cable and Cable's like, "Who are you?" Like, "I'm Batman."
Yep.
I'm like, nice. Yeah. Also, Barbara Streisand was at one point Josh Brolin's stepmother. Yes. So the constant Yentl stuff. I'm like, how much of this is he like happy with? Yeah. Like these jokes being made.
I just love that. It was like, so the first movie was like where it was like Bang City between the two of them. Yeah. He's like, all right, let's get down and dirty. And they're just like in their sweats watching like Yentl and like a musical and everything like that. I'm like, that was the greatest thing for me to see. I'm like, this is so funny.
And then he kept going, "Does anyone else notice that Papa Can You Hear Me is like, do you want to build a snowman?" And no one says anything.
No one says anything about that.
Or like when they're like, when he's like, "Damn it, George Michael died. At least we still have Bowie." Yeah. At least we still have Bowie.
Have that.
Also, Brad Pitt showing up as the Vanisher.
That was the funniest thing in the world to me.
So we talked about on the podcast that where they were kind of like, "We want Brad Pitt to be Cable," and he was like, "Okay," and they were like, "Oh no, we don't have money for that." So I just joking. So I was happy that he actually showed up. Yeah. But I found out also that David Leitch has been his stunt double like 5 movies, and that's probably why they were like, "I would want him
right
in there." And so yeah, there's Brad Pitt, there's Matt Damon, and obviously the big one, which I haven't seen ever. I didn't see Quicksilver, but that I loved that joke. They tried to bring back the whole like, can't the studio throw us a bone and just he's like, "What about the putts with the pigeon wings?" And I'm like, that is, what do those do, by the way?
I also loved the whole idea of like, hey, you know what, this is a giant ass house. Where is everyone? I don't understand.
And they're all in one room.
Yeah, they're like having a party and just like,
well, no, they're teaching a class, but it was apparently it's Quicksilver, Beast, Storm, Cyclops.
I have it right here. Beast,
and
Wolverine,
Professor X.
Professor X, Quicksilver, Taurus, and Cyclops is in that scene, and that was a great joke. They just closed the door, and
Beast just being like,
"We don't want to deal with this guy right now." That was really really funny.
Or that joke when he's upset about Frozen or just basically Vanessa being dead, and the extra tries to have a line, and he's like feeding him the line, because at first I'm like, what is happening? Why is he talking to him like that? And I'm like, oh, like it's the best fourth wall break of just straight up being like Ryan Reynolds giving the guy a line and being like, "No more speaking lines for you."
I love that. That was great. It was so good. Okay, no more speaking lines for you. Done. There were one of my issues with this were there were almost too many jokes to me that were recycled from the first one, and I'm realizing now some of these jokes are payoffs to the first one. Mm-hmm. So the first one where he's like, "By the way, there's $100,000 cash," or like whatever. In this apartment next to the cure for blindness, and when he gets the cocaine out, that was one of the funniest things ever. But when he gets the cocaine out, there's that like little box that says cure for blindness there, and I'm like, what? I would have loved for him to see it, like open that up or whatever. But that was just like a hilarious little nod to the first one.
Yeah.
does it lean too much on jokes from the first one? Do you find?
No.
No.
I've never like. I don't really get the criticism of like it's like the first one. I'm like, yeah, that's
the point.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
Like if things work, you go in and you do it again, pretty much.
Right.
Or like it's not really a sequel. It's just some things that also happen with people, you know.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't notice too many like every time I noticed something from the first movie, it seemed like they were deconstructing it. Like when Domino sees him without his mask and they try to do the run of what you look like, and
Right.
like that was more a joke to be like, TJ Miller can't get in the jokes he wants to get in.
Yeah.
And yeah, the cure for blindness, like it's like, yeah, that would still be there if she'd opened it. She wouldn't be blind anymore.
Yeah, the baby hand thing.
The baby dick
thing.
this time.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, like a couple of those jokes are recycled, but at the same time, it's just like, and that was distracting to me. That was a little bit disappointing to me.
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny stuff.
I'm not saying it wasn't funny. I was just like, oh, that kind of does seem a little bit lazy. But I don't know. I still had like fun overall with this. It was really, really good.
So I guess we can talk about X-Force.
Yep.
There was even less of them than the commercials made it
I
out to.
know.
I was like, oh, they're not even going to get to fight. They just all die right
Yeah.
away, which was hilarious.
That
to
was
me.
so funny. It's like, it's windy conditions right now. We shouldn't be
They
doing this.
bring it up
Yeah.
a bunch of times, and I was like, I honestly didn't think it would factor in
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah, it was the funniest thing. It was just like, nope, Shatterstar. It's like, oh, we're kind of okay with him. He was kind of being a dick, anyways.
Oh yeah, when he was like, I would love to go to a place where I'm just better than everyone, and everyone's
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, like Canada. He's like, fuck you.
yeah. Then there's Bedlam, of course, and then Zeitgeist. I really like that joke about Zeitgeist.
He's like, I can
what's-
spit.
Yeah, he's like, what's your power? Do you hold up
Like,
the
oh,
black
you
mirror to
got your
social
finger.
commentary?
He's like, oh, you got your finger on the pulse, or you hold up, and he's like, no, I can spit.
venom. Oh, okay, you're in.
He's like, would you like to see it? He's like, no, it's fine.
That was really funny. The Vanisher joke. That was
Yeah,
really,
he's
really
like,
good.
he's not here, is he?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
then, of
that
course,
was really.
Peter.
Yeah, Pete. He's like yelling at him. He's like, I'm just doing this to look strong in front of everyone. I'd never let anything happen to you, Sugar Bear.
That was so good. I loved it.
That was. I loved everything about X-Force because I remember in the trailer seeing them and being like, "There's no way Terry Crews had time to film a whole movie."
Yeah.
And I was like, "How is this gonna work?" And then I'm like, "Oh, that's how."
Yeah, it was really good. And just the idea of like that, I really enjoyed that joke from the trailer. Is it we're gonna call ourselves?
Yeah, isn't
like,
that a
and
bit
they
derivative?
built on top of it too. It's like, oh, we're gonna be gender neutral, progressive, forward thinking. We're gonna be X-Force. Isn't that a bit derivative? You're absolutely right. It's really good. Because he was and. He even made a joke about like, oh yeah, this is a 1960s metaphor for like racism.
Yeah. He's like, hey, we're the X-Men 1960s metaphor for it. Another joke I like only because I listened to Josh Brolin on Mark Maron, and I was like, it doesn't seem like you like people of color. Right. You're saying there's too many dog whistles there, like. Well, you know, like when Southerners are like, and he's not a Southerner. When Southerners like, it sounds a little too city for me. Like I'm not like that. Which really basically means like you got too many ethnicities over there. Right. I don't like all mixing. And he was saying stuff like that, and how he was like, no, I just live on my ranch. Like I prefer that. And and like when he was like, oh, so you're friends with Benicio del Toro? He's like, well, I wouldn't say friends. And I'm like, you guys work together on like 3 movies that I can tell, 4. And like you talked about how you guys like worked together like in acting class and like came up with him. He's like, no, I wouldn't say friends. Right. And I'm like, you call him Benny for the whole thing. Like, seems like a friend to me, buddy. And just like, oh yeah, he was like, and so if you watch the cartoon for Spider-Man, the man who did the voice of Kingpin is a black man named Roscoe Lee Brown, who's like this complete, like, if you're into acting, you know who Roscoe Lee Brown is. He's like, yeah, I did a couple plays with Roscoe Lee Brown, this black actor, and it's like, what?
So
why are they that?
So Brolin's becoming slowly Clint Eastwood,
or Cable, because the joke throughout the movie is like, you killed Black Tom, you're racist. Come on. Also, and he's like, I'm not racist, you dumbass. I'm like, I heard your interview.
Yeah.
No, maybe not racist. That you're probably uncomfortable with some people.
And even then the joke in the taxi cab where Dupinder's playing like the South Asian music. He's like, "Can you turn that off, please?" He's like, "Guys," and then, I forget what Deadpool says. He's like, "Come on, man, let's just celebrate a little bit."
And he's like petting him.
And pets him, and then Domino's like, "No, I agree with him. I'm kind of like, can we turn that off, please?"
I just like the running joke about like, because when he's like, "I'm Black Tom Cassidy," he's like, "Hi, I'm White Wade Wilson."
That was really funny. White Wade Wilson.
Because I guess the people who knew that Red Skull would be in Infinity War, but also said Silver Surfer would be in it, also knew that Juggernaut would be in this.
Right.
And I guess they must. Well, it's not even like they could have known because their friend was acting as it. Because Juggernaut is played physically by the director because he's a stuntman, and his face is Ryan Reynolds and his voice is Ryan Reynolds.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so it's not
because I'm
like,
looking at this right now and I'm like, I don't see Juggernaut credits.
He gets credited as himself in the movie theater. I don't know about. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, so then it must be Ryan Reynolds. Like, if it, because you can't just not give someone credit.
Right.
I didn't know it was the director actually physically playing him, but it was because he's a stuntman. I guess he did all the fighting stuff.
Right.
And then, but I guess Tom Cassidy is like Juggernaut's partner in the comics. And so people were definitely like, oh, he's definitely in it.
Right.
So I was happy that he was, and he was huge. I was like, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
He knocked out Colossus' tooth.
Yeah.
And dented his head in.
Yeah, and then cracked one of his things. But one of the things that was really, really curious to me was like, now correct me if I'm wrong, but Juggernaut doesn't have mutant powers. He has that like.
No, that's why he wouldn't have been affected. They just would have. They go to that jail and they don't need to put a thing on him because it's not based on that.
Yeah.
Although doesn't his helmet keep his powers in? I know it keeps.
It keeps
Charles out,
yeah.
but I feel like his helmet is tied to his powers.
His helmet is tied to his powers, which to me was like, why isn't that off? Kind of. Why
I mean, if you can't, like, I don't know, like, what are you going to do as a human to get his helmet off? Really?
Well, I mean, but even then,
you'd have to use another mutant,
right.
And the movie does a good job of being like, not many mutants can go against him.
But the idea that he doesn't have superpowers, but he's that big.
No, like, he's magical powers. He doesn't have mutant powers.
Right. So his magical powers make him amplified big. So
it's magic. That's his thing, is that he's magic. It's not that he doesn't have superpowers. It's just they're not. He wasn't born with them.
I see. So he's not a mutant. Yeah, he's definitely.
I love that. It was like, so you wear that thing so your brother doesn't read your mind? He's like, yeah, but he's in a wheelchair, so it all evens out.
Yeah, that was really funny. And then the idea that is like, when Deadpool first sees Juggernaut, I was like, oh, I'm such a fan. Back to like this comic and this issue and all that kind of stuff.
Which right away he does what Hulk did to Wolverine when he first met Wolverine, and I was like, that's a cool
nod.
I mean, and Cable gets his like comic book page thing when he jumps from one thing in the convoy to another. I was like, they did some cool comic stuff too.
They did some very cool comic nods.
But yeah, he's like, I'm gonna rip you in half now. He's like, no, don't do that, not now. But I also like when he's like, that's where they keep the biggest guy, and some huge foreshadowing.
Yeah, great stuff. Let's talk about the post credits.
Let's.
That was, I mean, one of the funniest post-credit stingers I've ever seen, and it was just like built on jokes and jokes and jokes. But hearing about what they had shot and they were planning to reveal was even funnier to me. So obviously the post-credit scene, like being very, very big meta jokes of finally having a Wolverine interaction with Deadpool was kind of great.
I wish he really showed up for it instead of it being stock footage. But
just stock. The screen.
Because obviously the joke is more him killing that bad version of Deadpool than it is them interacting.
He's like, "What are you doing?"
He's like, "Don't shoot! It's still need."
Correcting the timelines. Boom, 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 boom. Like even more. That was great, and of course the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern joke.
You're welcome, Canada.
Yeah, one of the jokes that they had planned to do was Chris Evans.
Yeah,
showing.
Well, they wrote it. They never. It never got beyond done. It was like. Chris Evans as the Human Torch would try out for X-Force.
Yeah, that would have been so funny.
Or our interview. Obviously they didn't try out.
And this goes back to the whole Cable motive and everything like that. When at the end of the movie, where Yukio and Negasonic Teenage Warhead fix the time traveling dimension device for him, and that he gets to just jump around and effectively saves Vanessa Marina Baccarin. Yeah. So I don't know if that means that she's going to be.
Yeah, she's going to be around for other movies because he saves Pete as well.
Yeah,
to no one else though.
Yeah,
there is no X-Force. We're
hilarious.
done. We're done. It's not a thing anymore. It's like, yeah, this was getting pretty scary. Okay, bye.
So really, he just saves Peter. Yeah. Like Bedlam, Shadow Strike doesn't care about whatsoever. No. Just Peter. But the idea of like, there was one joke that they wrote that made people very, very uncomfortable, where he goes back in time to kill baby Hitler. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, that was extremely uncomfortable the way they did it, no matter what they did. Like, they made it overtly, like, even like the way the scene was shot, apparently, was
killing
Deadpool,
a baby is still weird.
Yeah, still weird no matter what. And then the way Deadpool gets okay with it, he takes a Sharpie, a marker, and draws a little mustache on the baby. He's like, oh, okay, now I know what I'm doing. And he just like goes ahead and kills it. But that was one of the things. But at the same time, like we said before, inconsistent. Well, like I said before, is going to be inconsistent with Deadpool's character not wanting to kill children, kills a baby, although a monster at that.
I don't know that he obviously doesn't want to harm children, but he also suggests killing baby Hitler.
Right.
So
he did suggest
in the actual movie, he does suggest, why don't you just go back and kill baby Hitler?
Yeah. But the idea, like, what I would have liked to see more,
or even the kid, because why don't you just go back and kill him as a kid?
What I would have liked to see more is Deadpool helping baby Hitler get into art school.
No, I don't want to see any of that.
Like, nobody wants to see that, but I mean, like, if there's a joke, it's like, maybe this will help. I don't know, but like, yeah, they were right to take that out, because killing a baby is just uncomfortable for everyone.
I don't want to buddy up with Hitler stuff. No. True. We do enough of that with Trump. You don't need to.
Correct.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some of the jokes that they had planned. To me,
I would have liked to see, but
one would have been so funny.
Yeah, I doubt he would have done it though. He seems like he's on his. Maybe he would have done it. I shouldn't say that, but they didn't even ask, and it was like, who cares?
Yeah.
I guess it would have been fine because technically it's still a Fox property.
Yes.
So it would have worked. But yeah, I liked how everyone was cameoed in. I liked how I liked that some of the cameos meant more than just the like the Brad Pitt one in particular. Like, there's multiple layers to why he's there.
Yeah.
The Matt Damon one, I still don't know what. Like, he's just doing this farewell tour of comic book movie cameos.
I know, right? He's just doing that little, but I like that dialogue was just so funny. Yeah. Him talking about wiping with baby wipes.
Yeah,
like, you gotta think about it, man. You should only do it with that, and maybe like a Passover with like regular toilet paper and just a little bit of hair dryer to really treat yourself. I'm like,
what year? What kind of a dumbass question is that?
That was just so funny to me. I'm like, what are they talking? What?
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I want to see it again so I can see all the X, because I remember being like, oh, there is Storm, because I only really saw Beast and I didn't even consider, because everyone talked about how they were flying in the real Professor X chair, so it just in my head I'm like, well, obviously it's going to be, well, I didn't know, I guess they commit to the McAvoy timeline, which doesn't matter because he still says this smells like Patrick Stewart, but I loved that, where he was like, he's like, I could tell the future. He's like, that's not how that works. I'm pretty sure. And then he just slightly after he starts saying something, finishes the sentence. It's just like, I love that. Or like when he, at the end, where he's like, oh, you did this to save me. He's like, I didn't do this for you. He's like, nah, you did. Like how long it goes on for, and just him being like, no, you did this for me. Thank you.
I just love the Colossus hug, and he just like puts his hand on his butt. He moves it away. Nope. He puts it back.
Or the cable stabs him in the dick. He's like, is your knife in my dick? He's like, yes, my knife's in your dick. And he's like, okay.
It was really funny. Love the fact that Dupinder's still alive in this.
That's the joke I liked. That the whole time he's like, I'm like Kirsten Dunst in Interview with a Vampire. I just need that first taste of, I had my first taste of blood, and now I want more. Yeah. And then like Pete's like, oh, I don't have any powers. I just heard about it. I want to be. It's like, you're in. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, that was great. And then Dupinder's still like lobbying for that decision change. What's your superhero power? Courage. That was one of the best jokes, I feel. Courage. So I really love that
we
he
didn't
was still alive.
talk about Russell at all. I just realized as we did this.
Yeah, that was...
I like that actor, so I was
Yeah.
just like, cool. But what I liked was that I was like,
Julian
oh man,
Dennison. Yeah.
I was like, oh man, this guy's seriously in danger of becoming a villain. Like, Deadpool's got to get his act together.
Yeah. I like seeing the adult payoff of the, like, this is what in the Cable world looks like, and having that full scene like reestablished. I'm like, I didn't realize that, like, that scene where you first see Cable, that's immediately after his family died. Like, that was crazy to me. So that was really, really nice. And of course, a little bit of the rant that he says, like, you never see plus size superhero models and all
See,
that.
I like the actor, so all of the stuff they gave him to do worked. It's just, I don't actually have any. Like, I've heard people be like, I don't like the kid, but I'm like, he's kind of the crux of the movie. Yeah. It seems like you wouldn't really be on board with the movie then, because it's like that is what's at stake is this kid's future. I mean, yes, lots of people, but like if you're able to save this kid, you can stop a lot of damage.
Yeah, exactly, and save a kid and do all that kind of stuff.
So I liked that, and as I said, I really like Domino. Yeah. I wish she still had more, because it's like they did reshoots to add more of her. I'm like, she must have just not been in the movie then, because like she didn't seem like she had, like, the only time I can think of like reshoot stuff would have been when she came and started making jokes about what he looks like.
Right.
I was like, I guess that can be added, because like I don't even know like where you wouldn't have her, because she'd have to have her in all the main fight scenes.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess they added Cable.
Yeah.
So maybe they added him to the room as well. I don't know. It's weird.
Maybe just to back off.
Because I think Cable and Domino, in terms of what I didn't like, they felt flatter than they could have been.
It's true. But at the same time, when you have Deadpool basically stealing the show, it's hard to actually come up and...
Well, it's good that he doesn't get outshined in his own movie. Yeah. That's good. It's just like... Yeah, there's so many cool things about, and I don't mean like, oh, they should have talked about how he's Cyclops is that. I just mean like there's so like they have the one scene that kind of hints at the fact that every time he uses his powers, more metal takes over his body, but it's never really like a stake for him. You just kind of see it, and I guess if you're a comic book reader, you're like, oh, I
good
see.
nod. I see what you did.
Yeah,
cool.
Which is fine. But yeah. Oh, and also I liked that they brought back his cancer thing. Like when they put on the, it's not just like he doesn't have powers anymore. It's like, oh no, he could very well die. Like within who even like if he stayed there weeks, he could be dead. Yeah. Which I know he kind of wanted to happen. Yeah. And he's like, no, let me get back to these tumors. But like I just like that was like an added layer of like, oh yeah, like if he does have his powers, like he's worse. Like it's not good.
Yeah, no, that was really, really cool for me to see. One thing I will say, though, that death scene that he had, that joke went on way too long, I feel.
Oh, the first one.
The first, yeah. The
Yeah, I also didn't like that they would rewind and, like, show you things again. I was just like, let's move on. Yeah. But, like, I liked the initial thing and that it led into the thing. Or even that he goes, like, fuck you, Wolverine! You died in your movie. Well, guess what? I'm gonna die in this one too.
Yeah, that was really, really funny how he just had that musical box that was Logan on the thing. Like just the Logan jokes were just hilarious in there.
Yeah, because that's another thing about Deadpool is that he, like Sabretooth, is jealous of Wolverine. Yes. So like I like that they kept that, like he's not just referencing him because like everyone loves Wolverine. It is like a character trait of his that he's like jealous and like is constantly like, well, could Wolverine do this or can he do that? So I liked that. It's really, really even cool. More reason for them to be together.
Yeah. All right. So I think it's rating time.
It is time to rate this movie.
What are you doing?
I guess 8.
Yeah, I'm giving this a 7.
Interesting. Yeah,
I'm doing this a 7 for my firm belief that comedy sequels aren't as good as the first one around.
Doesn't seem like you're actually rating the movie then, just your preconceived notion.
No, well, I mean, the thing is because of the fact that I'm
not saying it's not a 7. Yeah. I'm just saying if you can't follow up with because I always think that,
Well,
but like then it doesn't really
that's a
seem like
factor.
it doesn't really seem like you actually paid attention to the movie. It just which
no.
everything before this made it seem like you did pay attention, and then you're like, oh, because they're never the same.
Oh no! It's to me it was the other reasons too is because I would have liked them to kind of use other jokes other than the ones established in the first one. So to me that was like, oh, maybe that is a little bit of lazy writing, but I mean at the same time, like I said before, those are payoffs to the jokes that were in the first one. But at the same time, I was really hoping they'd do something different with it, which they did to the extent of like, oh, let's get X-Force and then kill them off right away. But at the same but the recycled jokes of like the baby limbs that are growing back and all that kind of stuff, that was just slightly disappointing to me, especially in that scene where it's like, well, that's just lazy writing, and it's like, yeah, you're doing the same thing again with the baby arm and from the first one.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like it's stuff that you can't avoid because of the nature of him, right? Like would you like to see a movie where they don't address him regrowing stuff?
No, but at the same time, to lean on it that heavily is...
It's for one scene.
Yeah, it's for one scene, but to me, it's still pulling off those jokes a little bit more. Like, don't get me wrong, the amount of cameos definitely built this movie up a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so much fun. And like you said, the different layers of those cameo jokes of Brad Pitt. Like, I had no idea that it was like Leach and Brad Pitt and all that kind of stuff. So that's why he did that. And even then, seeing the credits here at Tudyk.
You don't want to say Tudyk.
I don't know how to say it. Tudyk.
It's
Tudyk? Okay.
two dicks. You don't take off the S.
And then Damon in there. It was like, that was really, really great.
The Matt Damon one blows my mind because I was just like, that is good makeup.
Yep.
I was completely confounded as to who that was.
And the movie, the jokes didn't get me on the floor laughing as much as the first
Don't get me wrong.
one.
I'm not saying it should be higher. I just was like, oh, that's a
It
disappointing.
seems
It's a
inconsistent.
disappointing ending to your review to be like, because comedies are never good the second time, and it's like,
but that's like when we watched Hangover 3 together.
yes,
And I was laughing my ass off. And I'm like, that was only okay.
yeah,
It's not to say I didn't enjoy the movie. I'm just like, the jokes are stale now.
yeah.
That's all.
All right, we did it. We reviewed it. We spoiled it. And now it's time for you to review and rate us
Yeah, let
on
us know
iTunes.
what you think.
And
Subscribe, like, share, do your thing.
do all that.
We appreciate it.
Go to dorkshelf.com.
Correct.
It's our home.
It's our home.
And there's a bunch of great podcasts there. I won't list them. You'll just see them when you get there. It'll be a nice
Correct.
surprise.
And
We've spoiled enough for you.
Yeah, and next week, what we got for you is the Solo movie review.
Yeah,
There we go.
if everything goes well.
We spoiled next week.
Yeah, we did it. There was more spoilers.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. And go to tdfeverything.com/spoiledrotten. There's more episodes of this.
You can look at our backlog.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Teamwork. We did it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for listening.
So if you're watching Justice League now, watch that because it's a hilarious hour and a half of us just shitting on that movie. It's good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Listen to our Justice League episode. Listen to all of them. Listen to all of our episodes. They're all good. And they're all great.
Yep.
And now you're going to have a great day.
That's right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
This has been a TDF Everything production, brah.